From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, third straight win for Florida State over Miami, giving the defense the props they deserve, the inglorious end of the Jimbo Fisher era. We discuss it, and your boy almost gets beat up by a supermodel on Saturday. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway in Tallahassee. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., only $8.99. And on Mondays, Victory Burger. Just it's what happens, everybody. It's what you do on Mondays in Tallahassee. You bask in the afterglow of another Florida State victory. You do it over on your lunch break at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. $8.99 for that half-pound Black Angus all-beef burger, also with a side dish of your choice. You know the side dishes. Check it out, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And don't forget, tomorrow, trivia night, 7 o'clock at the CP. Shout out to everybody who came out. I did not make it out. Sorry to our guy Seth, a.k.a. Don Rugans, others that inquired about my whereabouts. A little bit under the weather still. Should be good now. Should be definitely be all systems go for the North Alabama meet and greet. 5 o'clock.
Oh, good. Perfect.
That's going down, right, Corey? That's the season finale, if you will, maybe?
It is, and I wanted to say that, I was talking to Bill on Saturday night after the big win. He said it's by far that Friday night was the biggest night they'd ever had, and then they broke that on Saturday night. Corner Pocket I'm talking about. And he said it was all because of Wake Up Warchant. I think he was joking. But we do have an impact. Like, we have helped. People know people that come from out of town have a place to go to with other Florida State fans. And I just want to point this out. I'm not going to name any names, but there were a number of people that came up and told me personally how much we meant to them. If they'd been through some trying things in their life, or they live away from Florida State in Tallahassee, they don't get connected to the program. They can't be connected usually physically near the program because they live thousands of miles away. We help them feel connected, and that always warms my heart to hear stuff like that. So I just wanted to give a shout-out to folks that came and said hello. Lord knows you weren't there. I had to do it all. Myself. But it really does mean a lot when people say such nice things, and it does seem to matter. We give them a sense of normalcy. If they've gone through something, they know we're going to be there every day talking about the Noles. I'm going to be saying dumb stuff, and we all get along and keep moving.
Is this where I get emotional like Sharon Moore after the Michigan win and just kind of pull my heart out?
That was outrageous.
No, it wasn't. Fair
enough.
But hey, we can maybe help your business too. Look what we're doing for Vitamin Energy and for our guy Bill at Corner Pocket. Holler at me.
Absolutely.
Aslan at Warchant.com. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. I think the big game special might be expired by now. But maybe if you're listening on the West Coast, when we drop this at midnight on, Monday, and it's technically 9 o'clock over in your neck of the woods, you might be able to still sneak in there. So take advantage if you haven't already. 50% off an annual membership. Hopefully, a lot of you did take advantage of that because you get to celebrate your team being 10-0. And one of those, kind of landmines, if you will, in this schedule that, again, it won't be celebrated by scholars for its arduous trek to the top here, but just got to win every week you show up. And Florida State did that again, Corey. And I don't want to. We'll nitpick maybe tomorrow. Maybe we'll nitpick 35, 40 minutes later on in the show. But let's maybe first and foremost, let's celebrate this win, right, Corey? I'm trying to think about how I was maybe like in 2016 listening to a show that might have been like this. If there was, I don't think there was at this time. But I wouldn't want to tune in and hear about, well, man, you had to block an extra point and you had to get a crazy stop. And, I'd be like, hey, man, we just beat Miami in Miami. Like, let me celebrate it. Florida State just beat Miami to keep their national title hopes alive. Yep. Probably stuff that, again, we can nitpick on, but what, like, first and foremost stands out in your mind that you walk away from feeling really good about this team, particularly this season right here and now after that 27-20 win?
Well, look, man, I will say this, and this isn't a nitpick. This is I don't know what you picked that's bigger than a nit. A lot of things, I guess. I don't know.
A nut?
Bug
a
pick,
nut?
a
nut?
Fruits. You could pick strawberries. But if you don't make that ridiculous play or not make that play on the 85-yard touchdown, it's not a game, and you're going to probably cover the spread. You were right there where it was a push either way. You're up 27-13. It's 1st and 15. The kid just throws it up, and your safety is in position to not only not have it be a completion, he's there to intercept it. And instead he does neither, knocks his own guy down, and turns into an 85-yard touchdown, and then it becomes a game. But so when that happened, and then Florida State did not move the ball, did not score on the next possession, they gave Miami the ball. And then that kid who showed all the heart in the world all day because he was getting beat up and he was not ready to lead an offense against a defense like that. He was fine, but he obviously that offense was dialed back considerably, and he was not very good, this true freshman quarterback. He scrambles for that first down, and I assume breaks his arm, right?
I would assume so. Yeah, my friends.
And he got the first down by an inch, but I do think it was the right call when they showed the down-the-line replay. I do think he got there, showed all the heart in the world to get there. And then they bring in Tyler Van Dyke, who we've all made fun of for 3 weeks, and you're like, you know what? This is how the storybook season is going to end for Florida State, is Miami with another nightmarish, heartbreaking win over a good Florida State team. That's what I was getting ready to write. Is like, of course this is what's going to happen. And I'm a cynic by nature. I've lived through some bad things when it comes to sports fandom. But when he completed those 2 passes, one that Renardo Green had great coverage on, and you're like, this is happening. He's going to lead them down the field. But for your defense to rise up when it mattered, and I know they weren't playing, Jaden Daniels. Although they did pretty well against Jaden Daniels, the Heisman frontrunner now because he put up 700 yards against Florida. Florida State did well against him too. But they weren't playing an elite quarterback and an elite offense, clearly. But in that moment, one slip up, one mistake, one bad play, and your season's over. And so for them to step up in that moment, for Jarian Jones to make that play, for Malcolm Ray to get the pressure, and for Renardo Green to get a pass breakup after he'd just given up 2 completions. That's what I wanted to celebrate, man, is this defense, Adam Fuller's unit, much maligned, as most defensive coordinators are. The last 2 weeks, again, not playing great offenses, granted. The last 2 weeks they've won because of Adam Fuller in that defense, and I just wanted to celebrate them. I thought they played exceptionally well in the second half after kind of getting run over in the first half. But I love the adjustment, and they won. And I've been around too long and seen too many good Florida State teams, better teams than this, lose crazy games to Miami where the national championship hopes go down the drain. And now you still have those hopes. Maybe it's just for 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks or 6 more weeks, or maybe you win the national championship. But they're alive and well right now because of what that defense did in the final moments on Saturday.
Granted, I was making my way down to the post-game news conference room, so I didn't get. I saw the injury, and I think I saw the first incompletion. There was strep bone. I'm like, all right, he doesn't have it. I'm out of here. This game's over. But I did not feel that fear, and I get it. I think it's maybe like a different vintage, you and I. But like, listen, I lived through the lost decade. I lived through Sean Taylor catching more passes from Chris Ricks than Florida State receivers throughout his career. But I did not feel that kind of impending doom. But I guess a lot of people might have had that knot in their stomach, and to find a way to overcome that.
But you think the game was over. You had a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter, and their quarterback just hit the ref with the ball. And they're punting it back to you. You've got the ball near midfield, and then I thought it was about to be a 21-point win. I thought you were about to rate, and then literally 2 minutes later, it's a game. Because your offense goes 3 and out, they miss a defensive holding, but also you're snapping the ball with 21 on the play clock inexplicably. And then, so they miss a defensive holding. You don't get the first down on 3rd down. You have to punt. And then the kid just throws it up for grabs. They hit an 85-yarder. All of a sudden, a game that felt like a lapper. Like we were making fun of Miami for the kid hitting the referee with the ball. All of a sudden, it's a game. And there's real game pressure on you. And that's where it got. And then then Van Dyke's in the game around midfield. And it's like, man, one play. You're one play away from, well, I guess 2 plays, because I think they would have gone for 2. But you're 2 plays away from losing this game. And it would have been an all-time collapse. Just a heartbreaking way to lose this streak, to lose the chances of a national championship this season, to lose the undefeated season. All that would have gone down the drain. One play here or there. And I guess I'm a certain vintage, but I've seen that enough. Well, not just with Florida State, just in other walks of life and other sports and other years and other football teams. It happens. So for them to avoid the catastrophic, heartbreaking loss is what I took away from that. And you beat Miami again for the third year in a row. You beat them.
And
you beat them for the third year in a row.
10 out of the last 14, I think Ira said on the wrap.
Yeah. 10-4 over the last 14.
I think our guy James B pointed out now only 2 wins away from evening the overall series record.
Yeah, I think they were 32 and 35 going into that one. So yeah, they're getting closer and closer, man.
I mean, at what point? Again, it's so tough to. It's easy to celebrate and be excited for these wins. It's tough to really kind of figure out how much of it's going to play out if they play some of these other teams that we're seeing here in the college football playoff. But like, is any part of you comforted, heartened by the way this defense continually just again finds ways to rise up? That, I mean, you're still going to be nervous if they're in that situation against, Georgia in a playoff game or whatever. Sure. But surely they've proven to themselves 10 times over now that every team thinks that they're the hardest working team, that our fourth quarter drills, that our Call of Duty, that our chase, whatever you want to brand it in the offseason, is the hardest, right? Like, we're these guys, we're built for this stuff. But man, like I kind of wanted something like this to maybe happen, not give us a coronary here, but I don't know, there's some benefit, I think, to, again, maybe proving to yourselves once more that you can, overcome situations like that. And it's going to pay off in the short run here as we get to the nitty-gritty, right? Or maybe not.
Yeah, I think so. Again, every game is so unique, though, and I just think there's an extra pressure that, like, if somehow, I shouldn't say if they are playing Georgia in a semifinal game, weirdly, I don't think there's as much pressure as, obviously, there's also not as much talent on the field with Miami that there would be against Georgia. But I don't think there's as much pressure as they felt because they were on the precipice of, like, blowing a game and blowing a season against a team they were just up 2 scores on with the ball. And I think with Georgia, you go into that game, I would think even the people listening to this, you go into a game against Georgia, you want to win, you hope to win. But if you don't win, it's not crushing because it's Georgia, and they're better than you. Miami's not better than you. And Miami almost stole one from you and ended your kind of magical run right now. You get in the tournament, you give yourself a chance, let the chips fall where they may. But when it comes to Miami at home with the 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter, that's where I like that they rallied up after that crazy play by Noles. And again, man, I'm not going to kill the kid, so it's fine. We won't talk about that. But, the defense after, because they didn't play well for stretches in that first half. They gave up like 5.5, 6 yards a carry in the first half. And then the second half starts after the onside kick, and we can talk about that later if you want. They have a 20-yard run on the first play from scrimmage. Miami did. And then they did Jack Diddley Squat Poo running the ball the rest of the game, which was good to see.
Yeah, 15 carries, 35 yards in the second half.
I mean, that's after what they did. So that's what it was, 15 for 35?
Yeah. Yep.
And the first one was for 20. So the next 14 carries got 15 yards. They were exceptional against the run when it mattered because they didn't want to have that kid air it out. They were in a game, and the defense slowly took control of the game like they did against Pitt. And then Coleman's punt return kind of, I thought, iced it until the nonsense happened. But, yeah, man, I think, if you want to project, look, man, Florida State's going to have trouble against Georgia. All right? We get it.
They might have trouble against Florida, too.
Exactly. And I'm saying if they play Georgia, because I heard that a lot Saturday night. Like, what's Georgia going to do to us? What's Ohio State going to do to us? This is fans talking to me. Or Michigan. And I'm like, man, just worry about that when you get there. Like, again, you don't have to beat them 10 times. You have to beat them once. And I will say this. And, again, we're projecting because I'm certainly not under any circumstance assuming a win at the Swamp or a win in the ACC championship game. I'm not assuming that. But if you were to get to a game against Michigan or Georgia, the one thing you are not going to be able to run the ball on them. That's clear. Unless Jordan Travis can run, you are not going to be able to run the ball on those types of teams. But Jordan Travis would have had 3 weeks off. I feel like Jordan Travis with 3 weeks off, 4 weeks off actually, would be pretty fresh-legged and would be a unique weapon that those defenses might struggle with. Plus, you got the 2 dudes out wide that would also have had 4 weeks off to get as healthy as they can possibly be. So that does give you a fighting chance, right? If you're just projecting ahead. That
Yeah,
you
I
have,
don't want to say fighting chance. That's like, that makes it sound like you're far inferior to your opponent.
No, I
These
guess
are-
just because you can't run the ball on these teams.
And they're going to probably be able to run on you, I think.
Correct. That's what unless you make those adjustments you made against Miami.
But I don't know if you can do will you do those against,
No, not against not with the team that has McConkey and Brock Bowers, or not against JJ. Well, maybe against McCarthy. I mean, Michigan ran the ball 31 times in a row, so maybe you could do that against Michigan. But yeah, you could afford to just fly guys up to the box because you were not worried about a freshman quarterback beating you. That would not be the same thing. But yeah, I don't want it to sound like you'd be lucky to even be in the game at halftime. I'm just saying, like, the way these last two games have looked, and as maybe as off-putting as some of these drives have looked. Understand that with Keon and Johnny healthy out wide, and with a healthy Jordan being able to run, if that ever happens. And I'm not saying he's unhealthy. He's just not. You could tell when he's trying to run away from linemen and he can't. But I just think that's a unique offense that not many other teams would have gone up against something like that. Like Georgia will have played Alabama, but that kid can't throw like Jordan Travis, and I don't think and Alabama doesn't have receivers like Florida State. So anyway, I'm rambling about a game that might not ever happen, but I think a lot of people watch that game against Miami and even Pitt and be like, well, man, what's the point? Like, we barely beat Miami. Georgia would have beaten that Miami team by 30 points. Yeah, sure, man, but you didn't play all that well. Your quarterback, I don't think, played all that well for him. And you still won the game. And if you do play well against any of these teams, you can beat them all. I truly believe that. And going back to your original, what you said, it is because the defense is playing like this. It's not a great defense. It's not incredible. It's pretty darn good, though. It's pretty darn good.
All right, well, on the positives, the return of Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. I guess maybe to a lesser degree. We don't know if Jaheim's going through anything. I mean, Ira thought that maybe we're not seeing a full force capacity Jaheim Bell, but still 3 catches for 41 yards, not too shabby. I mean, just the balance they're going to have with these 3 guys ready. I mean, maybe not even so much Jordan being healthy if they get to this point where they win out their schedule. Looking forward to head to a playoff. But just to see, like, those guys back out there, and I know Johnny had a drop or two, but to see Keon returning a punt the way he did and almost delivering a dagger, and just having Johnny back out there and the stress they're going to put on defenses, I mean, that also portends well as we get to the nitty-gritty here, no?
It does. I get it. It does. I just, you go to the swamp. If you don't have a running game you can count on, that's a little problematic. But I don't know what that team even is that you're going to be playing in 2 weeks. I mean, they literally just gave up the most yards in program history last
really?
week.
Did they? Was that?
Yeah, 702 yards to LSU, which is the most they've ever given up. Jane Daniels, I think, accounted for 600 on his own or 580. He ran for 230 yards and threw for 350.
First player, I think, to throw for over 300, run for over 200, like in the Power 5 level, something like that. Maybe.
Oh, really? I can't believe that would be the first, but it's one of few.
Well, throw for 350 and run?
Oh, you said 350. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I know Tuiasa Sopo, one of those guys back in the day, did it. But if Jordan isn't Jane Daniels right now with the legs. But, I mean, that Florida team is also about to play Missouri.
In Missouri.
At Missouri. And Missouri is good. Like, Missouri hung with Georgia.
Thumped Tennessee last week.
Thumped Tennessee really hard. And I think, there are only two losses for LSU and Georgia? Mm-hmm. I think they're 8-2. Yeah, they're good, man. They're legit. And that's going to be a very, very tough game for Florida right there. And meanwhile, you're playing North Alabama. So even though you're at the swamp, there is no excuse for you to go out there and not beat that team. They're going to be coming off a war against a better team, probably a loss, and they're going to be a lot more beat up than you will. So, and you have the better team, and you're playing for more. So I know that game is 2 weeks away, but I liked, honestly, other than I keep coming back to it. Other than that last stupid touchdown, I thought the defense was lights out. I just thought the defense was great. I thought the defensive line took control of the game, and I think it's really cool that we talked about this a little bit on Wake Up Warchant, and we asked a lot of not Wake Up Warchant, the Warchant rap, and we asked a lot of questions in the press conference about it. Guys like DeLoach and Malcolm Ray and Jordan Travis, they have been through it, folks. They were all Jarian Jones, dude. All those guys were there in 2020 in South Florida in the COVID game where they got beat 52-10, and I think Miami scored touchdowns on all 5 of their first half drives with the great De'Aaron King. The De'Aaron King-James Blackman duel in South Florida, Miami won it kind of convincingly. You were embarrassed. You were thoroughly thumped. Your coach wasn't even there because he had COVID. And then you haven't lost to them since. And I just think that's cool, man. I think that's cool what these guys have gone through. I always talk about what the people listening to this went through, but the players that are still on the team from then, the Fabian Lovitz, the Jordan Travises, the DeLoach, who's had a monster senior season. It's really cool they get to do this, no matter how it ends, man. 2 straight 10-win seasons. They're about to be 11-0. They're about to have the second longest winning streak in school history. When they beat Northern Alabama, that'll be 17 in a row, which will be the second longest streak in school history. That's so cool for them to get to do that, and they still have a lot more to play for. So it's a fun time of year, man.
How about Alex Mastermano? Glad I did not run into him with my vehicle. 7 punts, 4 of them 50 or more yards, 5 of them inside the 20. I mean, of those 5 inside the 20, how many of them were inside the 10? Weapon. And then Fitzy makes his field goals. Borregales does not.
Yeah.
Although, good grief, that kid, he's got some volume. He's got some velo coming off the...
It's like a T-shirt gun. It's like a T-shirt cannon with that right leg, man. The one he hit, that first one that he missed, both you and Ira made audible like gasps when it went off his foot because he kicked it so hard. He missed it, but man, that thing. I mean, it would have been. Ira said it would have been bad from 60, but because everybody says it would have been good from 60, but it would have been. Yeah. I mean, that was long enough to be a 61, 62-yard field goal. So yeah, man, Master Mono for sure. Special teams was good. The onside kick.
All right, yeah, we can talk about it. Wait, you didn't have problems with it during the Warchant rap. Have you slept on and changed your mind?
No, I've had people explain to me that like they appreciate the idea, just maybe not then. Like maybe not to start the second half when they don't feel like that quarterback. Why not make that quarterback have to get the ball at the 25 and drive the ball? But I would say Miami scored their last 2 possessions of the first half. They looked like they were doing some things. And it is just set up perfectly. Like it's a surprise onside kick. So it has to come at a time when you wouldn't expect it. They were just set up absolutely perfectly. You had 3 guys waiting on the ball. They had nobody on the screen. And then, of course, because it's Florida State Miami, the ball bounces at the 44.5 over your guys' heads. And then the Miami guy really does make a nice play to come leaping in and make the recovery. I didn't mind it. I worried at times. I think when they settled for the field goal, I think it was 3rd and goal from like the 3, and then Travis lost 2 yards on a run. And I'm like, that might have been the best thing that happened, because if they would have gotten a yard and then he's going for it on 4th and goal from the 2, and I just think you need to get points. But yeah, Norvell's kind of hard to pin down with some of his decisions. I understand why people would have a problem with it, because you're giving Miami a short field in a tie game, and it's still tied. Don't give them – they're basically already in field goal range with that kid's leg. Don't give them points. But at the same time, you were, I don't know, man, half an inch away from recovering it. And then you have the ball in a 10-10 game. And it wasn't like they were ready for it. It was schemed up incredibly well. They scouted it perfectly. It's right there. The ball just took that crazy second hop that it wasn't supposed to.
It's been 4 seasons fully almost now of him being here, and I guess to your point, like, we don't know how to really pin down his decision-making process. Maybe that's a good thing, that he's like unpredictable.
Sure.
But I've contended that I just don't think he would call games in a quasi borderline reckless fashion when the stakes are high. Like I don't see him going for it 3 times on the opening drive on 4th down like he did against Wake Forest, against Louisville in the ACC championship game. I don't think he'd go for 2 after the first touchdown of the game against Syracuse or Virginia Tech or whoever it was. But like that game and that situation, and again, I really don't have a problem with it all that much, and because I don't want to play the results, because if they end up, recovering that. Who knows, man? They go down and drive and score a touchdown, and they get a stop on that next drive and get some more points. Like that game is over, and everybody's celebrating for the rest of the game going to the fourth quarter. But man, he's going to do this stuff, right? Like he's going to play aggressive, even if they get the shot at the brass ring. Man, he's going to go for it. I feel like so. Maybe we just need to finally embrace. I think a lot of people have, but maybe some of us on the fence are trying to think that maybe he'll play a little bit more conventionally. But I don't think so. Nope.
But what I like also is there was a moment in the first half. It might have been the first quarter. I don't remember. They had a fourth and kind of short, like one at like the Miami. I feel like it was around the 45. It definitely was around midfield, but I think it was on the other side of midfield. And it was fourth and short-ish, like a few yards. And he decided to punt, and Mastromato pinned him, I don't know, man, at the 3 or 5.
It was the first drive of the game, man. That was the first drive of the game. 4th and 2, and then he pinned him on the 2-yard line.
4th and 2 from the what?
46, their own 46.
So normally I think he goes for that. And I think if even in the swamp, he might go for that. But when you're playing a quarterback and even if Van Dyke is playing, he might go for that. But when you're playing an offense that has a freshman quarterback who has never been on the road, and you can pin him deep, and you have a punter like Mastromato and you trust him, I think that's absolutely the right thing to do. And I don't know I don't think clearly he's not an automatic. I'm going to punt on 4th and 2 from the 46. You know what I mean? Right. Like he let the game situation dictate there. Okay, their offense isn't going to move. Probably not going to go 95 yards against my defense. This quarterback might throw a pick six. They might fumble. Let's try to pin them deep, and we'll probably get the ball back with a fresh set of downs in a couple of minutes, right around where we have the ball now. I don't think that happened. That might have been when Keon let it roll 50 yards instead of catching the punt. But I like that, right? Like he is not just straight up, the numbers tell me to go, so I'm going. In that instance, he let the opponent dictate, the opponent's offense being not good. But if you're playing, Georgia, who's moving the ball on you, or Louisville even, if they move the ball on you a couple times and you have a 4th and 2 and you're 46, you don't want to give the ball right back. Or if your offense is really cooking and you feel like, 2 yards will be nothing here, then I think that changes the way he coaches, which is good. That's what good coaches do. They adapt to the game and the situation. They're just not all or nothing every time.
Go all or nothing with vitaminenergy.com and their promo code WARCHANT BOGO, WARCHANT BOGO. Not sure what it means to go all the way with Vitamin Energy. Maybe it's just going through with an actual purchase. It's been in your shopping cart. Follow through. Check out. Use that promo code WARCHANT BOGO, WARCHANT BOGO, and get an item of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. There's like 25% off promos out there, 50% off. But, man, you're getting buy one, get one free. Like, the people out there don't know it. You do, though, because you're a Florida State fan, and the Florida State alums at Vitamin Energy are hooking you up. Vitamin Energy is the world's first and only clinically proven energy shot. After a 14-day clinical trial, participants reported 75% of them agreeing that they were able to focus and concentrate better after taking the shot, and 64% felt that the shots are a great mood booster. It tastes delicious, too, and it's only 1.94 fluid ounces. I should know that by now. 1.93. And there's 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine and absolutely no sugar. It's non-GMO. It's vitamins. It's energy with benefits, y'all. Go to vitaminenergy.com. Use that promo code WARCHANTBOGO, WARCHANT BOGO, on your first order to buy one and get one free. Shake it and take it. vitaminenergy.com. Watching the game, has Miami caught up to Florida State? Again, things are never as good or as bad as they seem. Clearly losing 52-10 wasn't as catastrophic as people thought in 2020, and then Miami losing 45-3 or whatever it was last year. Maybe not as catastrophic as they thought either. I mean, seems like he's kind of built it the right way. I just don't know if he'll be able to sustain it, if he's going to keep his coordinators, but they got two good lines of scrimmage on their offense and defense, and they're seemingly just a quarterback away from being able to maybe beat Florida State now.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they were a quarterback away Saturday night from probably beating Florida State, because there were some throws that were open that they just didn't have the capability to hit. And yes, I think what's interesting about that Miami team, and again, we'll see what they do on Saturday now that Van Dyke is back in the mix. But man, credit to them for for not quitting. And I know that sounds like it's patronizing almost. I know it sounds patronizing. But we all know that they do. We saw it last year. We've seen it, and not only last year in games, I'm talking about in seasons. They just straight up will quit and mail it in. And they are not doing that. So I do think that that is a good sign for Miami. Not that anybody listening to this wants to hear that necessarily. But, again, there could have been a mutiny after the Georgia Tech game. There should have been, quite honestly. There wasn't. And they beat Clemson. They lost to NC State, but that defense played hard, and they were in the game against Florida State on the road with a minute to go. With their, well, I guess he's really the starting quarterback, but their backup quarterback or whatever. But I think that's something to build on. I do think, like we talked about last week, the bones of this program seem to be in a better place because the line of scrimmage is very good, man. I think other than, I don't know, man, I think that might be the best collection of offensive line, defensive line they've faced, that Florida State's faced.
I think so.
That defensive line is the truth. That offensive line is good. Not great, but good.
I think they're going to lose some of those pieces, though, at least.
Yeah,
so, like
sure.
Matt Lee, Javian Cohen, I think they're rentals, one-year rentals. So.
Yeah, Cohen I think is a junior, but I'm sure he'll test the waters. But yeah, I mean, I did like I like the fact that they when Florida State I shouldn't say I like the fact, I actually dislike this. When Florida State got up 27-13 and got the ball back after the referee got hit, I legitimately thought Florida State was about to win
cover
41-13.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was over. I thought Benson might house the very next play. And then Florida State went to that weird 4 wide receivers on one side set, run it to the other side. Mike, you were 0 for 6 on that, my man. I think they ran that 6 times for 5 yards total.
No,
like
I remember 2 off the top of my head. I don't know if they ran it more than twice. You think they ran it?
I think they did it. I know they did it more than twice.
Okay.
I think they did it at least 5 times, and it did not work. But then they also got a break because I think Keon Coleman was held and they didn't call it. That should have either been a automatic first down or a 70-yard touchdown. But it wasn't. But still, I like the fact that they just didn't give up because Miami has done that. And they didn't do it this season, even after the debacle against Georgia Tech, and they didn't do it in that game. So that is a good sign. I don't know that I'd say they've caught up, but only because I don't know what either one of these rosters will look like next year. Yeah. Who's the quarterback for either team?
Right.
Who's the star wide receiver for either team? Legitimately, you don't know anymore. So it can be it could be year to year with this stuff, man. But I do think that's why it's so important what Norvell is doing in the actual high school recruiting now. It's because that is the backbone of what your program will be, what your roster will be. So, I'd say in that regard, I still think Florida State's going to have more talent on the roster next year. But what if Miami gets a super-duper quarterback to transfer in? That's the great equalizer, man. Like, just you can't – I know he wasn't great. I know people were throwing their hands up with some of the sacks he took, rightfully so. The almost safety, I guess should have been safety, was one of Jordan Travis' all-time bad plays. But that guy has you can't stress how much he's meant to this program. You just
Absolutely.
don't. You can't. You can't overstate it. That guy, he's won 16 games in a row. He has turned what was a middling program. Obviously, Norvell gets the brunt of the reward
credit,
brunt of the credit for it. But Jordan Travis is right there with him, man. Like having a great quarterback makes everything so much easier. And I just think he's won it. He's won games in so many ways. Even in 2021, when he wasn't this kind of passer, he gave you confidence with his athleticism. He won games late. He's proven he can do that. It's such a luxury to have somebody like that. And I think he's going to go down and be remembered. He's not going to be remembered like, I don't know, man, like Jameis Winston or Winky. But I think
give him some time.
Maybe,
got some
but
games.
Don't you think he could be like the Trent Forrest of the football team? Like people are going to remember them and think fondly of Jordan Travis
forever.
Just
beloved.
a straight winner.
Yeah.
He's a winner, man. He is an absolute winner. Is he going to win the Heisman? Probably not. Is he going to win a national championship? Don't know. Don't even know if he's going to win an ACC championship. But that dude is a winner. And he has been the biggest reason, along with culture and everything else. But from a player standpoint, one player, he has been by far the biggest reason that Florida State is this again. And you might look back 5 years from now, when Florida State is routinely signing top 5, top 3 recruiting classes and selling out Doak and winning championships and being on winning streaks, Jordan Travis was the bridge from the awful to the great. Jordan Travis was the guy that built the bridge. And you just can't overstate how valuable he is. And he hates Miami more than any of you do. So feel good about that, too. Go watch his interview after the game. He is not a fan of the Miami Hurricanes.
Maybe not Jeff Cameron, though.
I don't know, man. Jordan Travis, I think, takes it even more personal than Jeff Cameron.
It's funny to think about some dude at a Miami baseball game is the one who planted the seed of hate. Like, didn't even know, just like a little innocent, shy young man out there to watch his older brother play college baseball.
Yeah.
And Jordan Travis held that to heart, man. He kept the receipts. He took it personal, as Michael Jordan might have done.
And it doesn't help that I guess their safety is ripping off his chain in the middle of a game and targeting him without getting
let's talk about refs for a minute before we get to the Jimbo fiasco.
Okay, sure.
Refs. Nobody won the other night. Everybody won. I don't know. I mean, the safety call is an all-time boneheaded, blown call. Who knows?
So
it wouldn't affect the
rule,
outcome of the game, but there's no way any part of that ball was across the plane.
But does the ball have to be outside of the goal line or just to the goal line? That's what I don't know. Like, if the ball is over the white, does that count as not being fully in the end zone?
Over the white, as in like towards the field of player into the end zone. I mean,
no, I'm saying like the ball. If the whole ball isn't in the end zone, not just
on the plane,
but it has to be out
in the garnet. If it was actually
in the garnet. Does the whole ball have to be in the garnet for it to be a safety?
Yeah,
that's what I don't know, because I don't understand, if that's not the rule, why it wasn't called a safety. Because it looked to me like the whole ball was at least on the white, and then some of it was in the garnet. But then I'm like, okay, well, maybe the whole ball has to be in the garnet. But either way, I was telling a buddy of this who's a Miami fan. He's like, that call screwed them. And I'm like, look, man, okay, it's 10-9. You got the ball at the 31-yard line. Like, the safety, Mastromanno's punting without a rush from his own 20. With a safety. Without a safety, he's punting from the back of the end zone from the 1, and he doesn't even have time. He's just got to step and kick it. Miami got the ball at the 31-yard line. Where would they have gotten the ball after a safety? At best, I don't know, man. At best, midfield, their own 40. Because I'm thinking Mastromanno's going to bomb one and bomb it high, because he's a very good punter. And I wonder if on a safety he'd still do the rollout to the right and kick it thing. I mean, fake run it. Who knows? But so Miami got the ball at the 31 and turned that into 3 points. There's no guarantee that if they'd have gotten the ball at their own 35 or 40 or 30, that they would have gone and gotten 3 points anyway. So instead of the 2 points, they got 3 points. So there's a very good chance, in my opinion, I could be wrong, could be looking at it through garnet glasses. In my opinion, if they get the safety, Florida State's leading 10-9 at halftime. As it was, it's 10-10 because you gave them the ball at your own 31-yard line.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that was to me it looked like it. I didn't know what to make of that call in the safety.
According to the rule book, Section 5, safety, Article 1, approved ruling 851, safety, a part of the dead ball is on the ball carrier's goal line. So even if a part of it is on the goal line, it's a safety. So this. Well,
that can't be true, because that means part of it isn't. So if part of it is at the half-yard line, that doesn't count as a safety. There's no way.
I'm just reading the rules, man.
The ball or the player?
A part of the dead ball is on the ball carrier's goal line.
No, that's dumb. You're reading the wrong rule book. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so then I don't know. I think people thought I think Jalen Ramsey said that Greedy's pick at the end of the game should have been a pick that was ruled off, and then the targeting. Some people also, even pro Florida State people, were pointing out the fact that I didn't see the last plays of the game because I was down there trying to get everything set up. But some of the folks were like, "Hey, go look at it." And I should have looked at it, but I didn't look at it. Still love you guys. Thanks for letting us know this. But Corey can maybe clarify it. But I guess people were saying that maybe even Malcolm Ray almost could have gotten flagged for like a roughing the passer. I don't know if it was on the pick or maybe one of the previous plays. I know Jackson West hit a guy late out of bounds. Like, they're just letting the boys play on Saturday night. So
I
think
Florida State, Miami, baby.
Yeah, I think it all evened out. I don't think one team necessarily might have benefited, but Miami probably has a quite legitimate gripe at the safety. But to your point, I don't know how it really affected the points.
And they didn't lose by 2 points.
Right.
So, I know games play out differently with
Yeah.
different scores. I get it, but I just think the score would have been 10-9 at halftime instead of 10-10. But when it comes to the targeting, the thing that bothered me the most, I think I talked about this on the Warchant Wrap, is they paused the game to say they were going to look at the previous play for targeting. Then they go to a 3.5-minute commercial. As far as I know, because we don't have the referee piped into the press box, but I don't think the referee ever made an announcement to anyone.
No, I don't recall one happening. No.
They just went back to they just kept it as it was, 3rd and 7 from the 35-yard line or whatever it was. And it was the most flagrant targeting I've ever seen. My man number 20, who is a very good player and is out of control with the way he plays, man. He is a cyclone. He leaps with his head into the side of Jordan Travis's helmet. Now, he doesn't knock him down. It's not in a tackle, but he leads with his head into the side of Jordan Travis's head. Clearly, they review it for targeting, and then we never hear whether it was targeting or not. And it was absolutely targeting. And it was like, you guys, I'm not a big targeting proponent. I hate it. I hate kids getting ejected for it. I hate it when it's accidental. This was not accidental. This kid tackles all the time. He knows how to tackle. And he and Jordan were bickering and talking the whole day. That kid intentionally launched his helmet into the side of Jordan Travis's helmet. I thought anyway. But even if it wasn't intentional, he hit him in the helmet. And then all of a sudden, Florida State's got first down at midfield, and their second best defensive player is out of the game. And no, just not even an explanation. It was not targeting. Call the field stands. Just let's keep playing, guys. We're not giving an address. It's like it never happened.
All right, we buried the lead 41 minutes into the show.
Yep.
I don't have my dancing shoes. Actually, let's talk about this part first, and then I'll lay out for 7.5 minutes as you just talk about the inglorious end.
Yeah.
Inglorious.
Inglorious.
One of my buddies, funny enough, sent me a retweet on the Pete Thamel tweet that was saying that, he's going to be fired. Here's who they plan on, here's potential targets. A guy retweeted it and was using a fake quote about hey, just Pete, can you do me a favor and just put Cliff's name on the list? It could be 7th or 8th. I don't really care. Just put him on the list, please. And it was funny because this is how this is all going to work. These agents are going to be hey, can you just put our guy in the mix for this job so that you can help me and him get a raise? And this is how this industry works. So just saying that to acknowledge the fact that Mike Norvell is one of the names on this list, and I don't know if I don't think Mike was behind it. Maybe Mike's agent was. But I would just be so unbelievably stunned and jaw-slacked and agape if he were to even consider taking a phone call at this point from Texas A&M. But I know people want us to kind of maybe address that part before we celebrate the demise of Jimbo Fisher. But it's part of the business. We were there 10 years ago almost on this exact day maybe when Texas was going to get rid of Mac Brown and Jimbo was maybe going to go in the midst of a title run. He's a successful coach. Be flattered, I guess. I know it's hard to look at it that way, Corey, but no reason to be stressed, everybody. Don't be stressed. Please don't be stressed.
I mean, look, man, all we would say is if he chose to leave Florida State to go coach at Texas A&M, he's as dumb as the guy that just did the same thing. It's preposterous. Look around, Aslan. I don't know that Florida State is all that much better totality than I know they're better than LSU. I think they're probably – I think they could beat Alabama. I think they could play Alabama 6 times and beat them 3. But then you wouldn't want to have to play LSU the week after that. And then you wouldn't want to have to play Ole Miss and then Texas after that. Yeah. Look, we all want out of this conference. I get it. But why in the world would Mike Norvell leave the ACC where he's got something building? He's got the number 3 recruiting class in the country. He's proven he can win at this level and win pretty big. He's about to be 11-0 and have a 17-game winning streak. To go to a place that never wins. He just saw what happened. Yeah, man, the money is nice. He's already rich. But coaching careers matter too. Where's Jimbo going to coach again? He's on the Rich Rodriguez plan now at this point. He's getting worse and worse. He'll probably be at West Virginia at some point. He'll flame out there, and we're going to see him at Troy in 6 years. He's not going to get another big head coaching job. He's just not. He flamed out at A&M. Nobody wins at A&M ever. Everybody but Willie Taggart wins at Florida State. So, but no, I would be. I couldn't even imagine. It would be. I'd be dumbfounded. I'd be bum puzzled if he was even a remote possibility. Plus, quite honestly, maybe A&M fans don't want to go the route of Florida State again. Burn me once. You know what I mean?
Shame on you. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I don't. Maybe that wouldn't be a great sell either, especially a guy that. He's on a 16-game winning streak, sure, but he's 40 years old. They're going to want to go after Lane Kiffin, not Mike Norvell. But either way, man, no, I wouldn't. That would be crazy if he left Florida State. For A&M, I don't think that's a serious name. That would be. I just don't think it is. Maybe I could be completely wrong. I don't have any inside knowledge. It's a really good situation he's got set up, man, and he's got a good staff. He's got a great recruiting class coming in. He's killing it in the portal. He's got the battle's end. He's got a program that's used to winning, unlike A&M, that knows how to win, and he's got players that are good. So it would be bizarre if he did that.
I think maybe part of it too is to kind of show your constituents that you're taking this seriously. Like if you're Texas A&M, like listen, like we know we screwed up. We're going to go after anybody and everybody out there. So like you have to kind of include Mike Norvell's name at this point because of what he's done at Florida State. So. But even though it's a complete pipe dream for them. So I think that's also maybe part of the calculus. But again, yeah, Jimbo was officially fired on Sunday morning after he absolutely decimated Mississippi State. So my guy gets to go out on top.
That's right.
45-25 in 6 seasons at Texas A&M. He signed a 10-year contract renewal in 2021 that was $95 million guaranteed. Texas A&M owes him $19.2 million before year's end within 60 days, and then he will get $7.2 million annually through 2031.
Yeah.
Absolutely no offset or mitigation. So that means if he were to get another job, let's say at West Virginia in 2 years, they still owe him $7.2 million annually until 2031. So I guess take a bow, Jimmy Sexton. I don't know if I ever thought Jimbo Fisher was going to win a national title at Texas A&M, but through 6 years, I surely would have thought he'd make to more than 1 New Year's Six Bowl. I would have figured he'd been in Atlanta at least once by this time.
Yeah.
I didn't pay enough attention to what was going on in College Station. I'm always going to be indebted to what he did for this program. It was the best season as a fan for me ever going through 2013. I wasn't able to maybe enjoy 99 and 93 the way a lot of you folks were. So 13 for me was the ultimate. It was Camelot. But man, for some reason, the quarterback whisperer just never could get that thing figured out, man. After he lost Jameis, DeAndre Francois was a good quarterback, might have been a very good quarterback had he stayed here and worked together with him. But, his best success was with Kellen Mond. It was a guy that he did not recruit. Connor Wegman, that people thought maybe he was going to be the answer. Good quarterback, not great. Haynes King, good quarterback, not great. Maybe some of that has to fall on Jimbo Fisher and him not adapting to college football. For him wanting to emulate Nick Saban as much as he possibly could, he never really emulated the evolution, the adaptation that Nick Saban showed throughout the last 15 years here in Tuscaloosa. Just, even Bobby Petrino couldn't save him, as crazy and stupid as that sounds. Just really bizarre for a guy that was thought as being maybe one of the best 5 head coaches out there in the country for at least like an 8-year stretch to go out in this sort of fashion. Crazy. Unexpected for me, but I don't know. I guess maybe a lot of people saw this come and thought that, a lot of what he did at Florida State towards the end was smoke and mirrors, and he was on his way out even then. So I don't know. Your thoughts, Corey Clark?
Well, yeah, I think 17 colored Florida State's thoughts of his tenure differently they would have been otherwise. Like if he'd have left for LSU after the 15 season or the 16 season, which he almost did, the taste in people's Florida State fans would have been upset, but it also would have made more sense, man. Like I don't think I wouldn't have left Florida State for LSU. But at least that makes sense. LSU wins national championships, too. They have a great fan base. They have a lot of history. Not as much as Florida State, but close. A&M was just stupid. It's just stupid. They haven't won a national championship since 1939. And what bothered Florida State fans so much, Aslan, and you were here, right? When did you join? No, you weren't here when he left, were you?
I was here 2018, February 2018.
Yeah, that's right. So, what bothered people so much, man, and I know this because I just wrote a column about it that's on the website as people are listening to this, is the way he left and the shots he took at the program. And they were shots. It was like, look, if your administration's not committed to winning, really winning, you're never going to be good. You can't achieve anything. He said that at his introductory press conference. And he said it was a no-brainer to come to A&M because of the resources. He took all these little shots or big shots at Florida State, and he told any journalist with a pen or a notebook how little Florida State was committed to winning and how you just couldn't win long-term at Florida State or win period at Florida State. He did, when 17 happened, he was blaming the lack of a football facility instead of what he was putting on the field in his quarterback development. Then that's what bothered people the most is he didn't seem to appreciate what Florida State is. And as we have the beauty of 6 years of hindsight, it's clear Jimbo Fisher is a pretty good coach. He is not a special coach. Florida State is a special place. It made Jimbo Fisher a national championship head coach. He is not Nick Saban. He won 29 games in a row at Florida State. Mike Norvell has won 16 games in a row at Florida State. Even Bobby Bowden in his mid-60s won 17 games in a row at Florida State in a national championship. Like, this is a special place, and what bothered – maybe I'm just speaking for myself because I grew up a huge fan of Florida State. What bothered me the most about Jimbo during those last few years is he never seemed to appreciate what Florida State was. He only pointed out the negative and never seemed to embrace the positive, which was, hey, man, look at all this history. We got Bowden, Warwick Dunn, Dion, Charlie, all this history. We got this fan base. We got this recruiting base. It was all about what he didn't have. And then he goes to the place that has everything, including a great in-state recruiting base, and falls on his face. So, I think Jimbo needed Florida State as much as Florida State needed him, and he never really appreciated that. And so that's why so many Florida State fans were probably smiling a little bit when he got fired. Meanwhile, their team is 10-0 and number 4 in the country. The program that's not committed to winning, has battles in, has won 16 games in a row, and is 2 games away from a perfect regular season. So,
I mean, can we also not acknowledge that a lot has changed since he has left? I mean, like Mike Norvell has all the tools that probably.
But that's assuming that Jimbo wouldn't have or didn't. Like, everything he asked for, he got, except for a football-only facility that they agreed to build. Now, here we are 6 years later. It's still in the early stages of being built. But everything else he asked for, they got.
And he got everything he wanted at A&M and was clearly incapable of winning it. So it's no reason
that's
to think.
That's my point. It's like it's not the bells and whistles, man. It's the guts of a program, I think, personally. And there's just something, some programs just aren't ever going to win big. A&M has been mediocre. Is that what the M stands for? Has been mediocre.
Average, Texas average and mediocre.
Average and mediocre. Yeah, the average and mediocre Aggies. First 80 years, man. They've never done anything. And Jimbo thought he was the special sauce. Florida State is the special sauce. I'm not trying to dismiss what he did because they needed to be modernized. He took over a program that was in disarray, and it was old school, and it needed to be modernized, and he did it. But then he fell off a cliff, and that program that Willie Taggart took over was not even as good as the program Jimbo took over at Florida State. And then Norvell took over one that was like what Bowden took over after Mudra. But I feel good for Florida State fans, maybe myself, but mainly Florida State fans. Because again, I appreciate what Jimbo did, man. I got to go cover a national championship team. I get to document that team. That's one of the best teams that's ever been. And I was there every step of the way. Not watching practice or interviewing freshmen, but we were there every step of the way watching that team, and it was an all-time career highlight. It was just cool. It's cool to cover a team like that. But we also have – so I don't dismiss that he played a role in it. But, he's the third coach now. He's the third coach out of 4 that's had at least a 16-game winning streak at this school in the last 25 years. I think it means the program is what's special. And if you get a competent head coach or a very good head coach, which Jimbo was at the time – and I think Mike Norvell is now, you can win really big here.
So maybe
I don't think Jimbo appreciated that.
So maybe Mike Norvell should take a pay cut. I mean, you should be fortunate to be here, Mike. I mean, look.
So I was thinking about that.
What else is out there, Mike?
And I made that point in the column. He's got all the zeros he could ever want in his bank account, right? All of them. I don't think Jimbo's about that life. You know what I mean? Sure, it's cool to have 5 ranches, and I don't know, how many steer does he have? 500. I don't even know how you talk about cattle. Do you say steer? Like
heads of cattle.
Heads of cattle. What is it? Is 1,000 a lot? Is 10,000? It's like that Nate Bargatze joke where he talks about Leonardo DiCaprio tweeting, 1 million sharks die every year from hunters, and he's like, well, what do you want me to do with that? Is that a lot? How many sharks are out? He's going, I didn't even know there were 1 million sharks on the planet. But anyway, so I don't know how to talk about heads of cattle. But, I think with Jimbo, man, it's like he had a chance to have an all-time legacy. And he blew it to go to Texas A&M. Well, no, he blew it here first. Like, it was obviously clearly on the downswing. But he was set up to have a Dabo run at Florida State. He was set up. And he's a smarter football coach than Dabo. And while his program slowly went downhill and then accelerated downhill, Dabo took over the ACC. And then Jimbo went, and people can. I don't buy this philosophy. I don't in totality, but people love to point out Jimbo's record with Jameis and without him. But the 1 year with Jameis, the 13 year. It wasn't like Jameis. It wasn't like the Cam Newton year at Auburn, where he's playing with 3 other NFL guys. I mean, the whole team was an NFL team. Jalen Ramsey and LaMarcus Joyner and Kelvin Benjamin and Rashad Green were all on that team. It wasn't just Jameis. But, I mean, Jameis was whatever he was. What was he, 26-1? And then Jimbo wasn't all that great without Jameis. I get it. But I would have thought his winning games and being one of the all-time greats was what Jimbo cared about more than the money. And he went to A&M, had all the resources he wanted, and proved to be, an average coach? Take away the COVID season, which was his only good season there when there were no crowds?
He'll be remembered as a guy that, had a heist that stole $90 million away from a public institution in Texas, and not a guy that was the architect of one of the best college football teams ever. Isn't
that crazy? And I agree with you. I wrote that, Florida State was a punchline after he left, and then what happened in Jacksonville State, and then Travis Hunter. And they were a punchline. Well, Jimbo became the punchline. Yeah. I mean, you're right. That's a great way to phrase it, Aslan. That's what he's remembered for now, is the huge buyout. He's going to get $75 million to not coach. That's how bad he was at his job. A&M's going to pay him $75 million to not do it there anymore.
Leave.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just, it's inglorious. It's ignominious. It's all the words we can think of. It's he had a chance to put together an incredible run at Florida State and be here for 20 years, but he was never truly happy here. And I think if he could be truly honest, he would tell you he regrets leaving for College Station. Even with the bank account, because he was always going to be rich. Florida State was always going to keep him as one of the highest paid coaches in the country, just like they did with his assistants every year. Whatever that narrative was that was false. But he could have had a chance to do something really special at Florida State. I thought he was building something special, and it crumbled beneath him, and then he went to A&M and proved to just be another dude.
I think today will start my Andy Dufresne campaign of writing a letter every single day to Jimbo Fisher to get him on the show. No
chance. That would actually be incredible. You're just going to email him every day? Where would you even email him? What's his email address now?
I'm going to handwrite a letter to the ranch.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever he's at.
Nice. Go through Marty Smith. That's one of his boys. That's one of his friends.
Yeah. He's got a lot of money. He'll probably play some of the games out there over at mybookie.ag. You can go to the casino, the live casino. You can live bet. He could do a futures bet if he wanted to. It's all there. He'll use the promo code WARCHANT, John James. Get some better value. You'll get an instant cash deposit bonus. Anybody out there, you don't have to just be a disgraced former head football coach to get a cash deposit bonus. Just use the promo code WARCHANT over at mybookie.ag, where you can bet anything, anytime, anywhere. A little update on our season's contest here. I have put some breathing room between myself and Corey. Our second 2-0 week of the season from one of the guys. 2 weeks ago, Corey went 2-0 on part of his comeback plan. I nailed it. I got it, man. Shout out to my guy, Gus Malzahn. I think that was the biggest margin of victory over from a team that was below 500 over a ranked team ever, which is a stat that they keep apparently here, Corey. But I got that one right. And then my guys in Michigan go blue, stepped up and took out Penn State. Penn State fired their offensive coordinator apparently here on Sunday evening. So everything going according to plan for myself. So I got a little more breathing room between myself and Corey. We'll give you some more picks on Thursday. This game against North Alabama, not currently on the books. Here's an early one for you, Corey. I know you're Mr. ACC. Pitt versus Boston College. Pitt hosting them. Pitt giving away 1.5 at home against a Boston College team that
I don't even want to talk about them
after
after how they hurt me this weekend. Castellanos, I just don't even know how to talk about that team right now. Never been more disappointed in a football team.
MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code WARCHANT for your instant cash deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. All right, on the way out, Corey, also we had our over-under contest.
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
All right.
I think I nailed some of these over-unders. I think they were good numbers.
Very good. So Tyler Van Dyke passing yards 150. The under hit on that one. 54% of the people out there took the under.
Okay. What was he, like, did he have 25?
Something like that. Yeah.
30? Something like that, yeah.
29.
Okay.
29. Osceola's spear plant, 48-yard line, closer to the south end zone, so that would be to the right if you're watching the telecast. 84% said over. It was going to be closer to midfield. They were incorrect.
Correct.
It was a 47-yard line to the right of like the Seminole head if you're looking at the proper orientation of the Seminole head.
Like a little bit over the 47 too, but still the 47. It definitely wasn't. It did not get to the 48.
Yeah. Jaheim Bell touches 6.5. 63% took the under, which was the correct play.
Okay. What do you have? 3? 4?
4.
Okay.
Tatum Bethune tackles 7.5. 61% took the over. It was under. He had 6 tackles.
Okay.
Good job, Corey. Good job.
I feel like these are good numbers, man. Getting a lot of action either way.
Yeah. Florida State defensive takeaways, 2.5 was the number. 70 or 80% of the people are on the right side of history. They took the under on that. Yeah. Surprisingly, only 1 turnover, and it was that interception.
It was the last play of the game, yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Travis total touchdowns, 3.5. What do you have? 1?
He had 1. I think that's it doesn't matter what it was.
Right.
What was the betting? Because I think that's a good number.
68% said over.
I feel like if we're running a casino, man, we just crushed it again.
I think we did.
We just crushed it again.
Robbed all of you folks. And then the tiebreaker was Miami rushing yards, which was 131. Jimbo 11 is the winner. He had 140. I am not Drew Carey. I am not Bob Barker. I don't care if you go over. It should be closest to the number.
Exactly right. I agree with that, Aslan.
Yeah, he was closest to the number. So congrats to him. He's got his Garnet and Gold gift code. Remember, you got to be a member of warchant.com to get involved in this and win that prize, a $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold. We've got 2 more left to give out, North Alabama and the Florida game. So get involved. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll shake down Garnet and Gold for some more because there's more games probably in the horizon here for Florida State. So, and then also a real quick story, Corey. I don't know if you went back and listened to the Gabrielle Reese, world-famous volleyball player.
No, you got her at halftime in the press box.
Yeah, so
because they started the what's the name of it, man? We should know that, or I should know it. The campaign to raise money for women's athletics.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, she's like she kicked off the campaign to raise money for people that want to give specifically to women's athletics.
Yeah, so I showed up to it a little bit late. Which is my fault. I didn't realize. Usually they make an announcement like, hey, we've got somebody here in the lobby for an interview. So I showed up a little bit late. And I'm like, all right, I want to kind of keep this thing going so I can maybe get some more, content out of it. Not content, but it's like, I don't want us to film a 35-second interview while everybody else here has got like a 3.5-minute interview. And I clumsily asked her a question, which only I can screw this up. And I thought she was going to maybe like want to have words with me here, Corey. So I basically wanted to ask her about the fact that, fans out there. Let me just play the exchange, Corey. Let me play the exchange for you so you can hear my clumsy
Is this going to make
question.
me cringe? I don't like to cringe, Aslan.
Oh, deal with it. It's part of having to work with me, man.
Okay.
You've heard
well, that's true.
Maybe worse. Let's go.
I
I know a lot of like fans want their high celebrity alumni to be more visible and stuff, but the fact that you're not here doesn't mean that you don't care about this program continually, right?
You mean you want me to live in Tallahassee?
Well, I think
I'm out there. I have a 35-year career in the professional sort of landscape, and I couldn't be a better representative of Florida State than going out there and showing that after being in athletics and then going on into professional athletics, what that looks like. And so in the ways that I talk or communicate or represent myself, I am inadvertently representing Florida State all of the time. And hopefully Florida State feels a sense of pride and even a part of, my coach that I played for is standing behind you right now. As far as being visible, I'm really doing the best I can.
I wasn't being critical of her. But
I get it. It sounds like I get where she got defensive. I think the way you phrase that question is, even though you can't be in Tallahassee because you've got your own life and your own career in California and all over the world, how much does Florida State still matter to you? How proud are you of what you've meant to Florida State or what Florida State means to you? Because you're just looking for a soundbite, right? And it just came across as contentious, even though it wasn't. I know exactly what you meant. I think it was a very innocuous question, but she doesn't know you, and I think she felt like it was an attack that you're not there. She's not there more often.
Well, so when it was over, she answered one or two more questions, and then everybody stopped recording. But then somebody else asked a question. I walked away and I told all the booster people, I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend her. And they're like, oh no, you're fine, you're fine. So then I came back out when she was on. I'm like, hey, I just want to apologize. I wasn't being critical at all. She's like, no. She's like, and she is a very powerful, confident woman.
Yes.
So she just stares right through me. She's like, I'm fine. Explain yourself. And I'm like, fans out there see alumni making money, being successful, and if they don't hear them call out their name on Monday Night Football or they don't donate money to help build something, they're like, oh, that's not cool. And she's like, no, I get it. She's like, as for people not mentioning, a school on TV, she's like, who cares? But then she goes about, how much this university meant to her, her whole life changed because she came to Florida State and how much she appreciates being a Florida State alum. It was, but I was totally, I'm so sorry, Ms. Reese.
Yeah,
I think we're cool now, though. I think
okay, good. Yeah, she seems. She has always seemed like that. She was playing. For the people that don't know, she was I don't know how. She was a starter on the volleyball team. She was very good. I don't know if she was an All-American, All-World volleyball player when she was at Florida State in team volleyball. But she was also a model, and she was one of the. She was at that time. Her and Dion were the two most famous athletes on the Florida State campus, and it wasn't close. And then, she had a huge career in professional volleyball and modeling, and is still one of the more famous Florida State athletes. Heck, she's up on the video board in the race car.
Yeah, she won. She got the dub.
Yeah, she won. Racing Bowden and Deckerhoff and Burt, whoever they race.
She was all conference Metro in '89 and '90, and apparently she said that she gave up her scholarship to be able to remain eligible to play because she was getting modeling money, I think.
Yeah, like Dion did. Dion gave up his scholarship because the Yankees were paying him. Yeah. A lot of parallels between Gabrielle Reese and Dion. Yeah. I hope she doesn't go steal the number one recruit in the country and go coach her at Morehead State or something. So it was cool that she was back, and she is also you just the way she talked right there is golly, yeah, she's incredibly confident. That's a very very impressive person. And I do want to give a shout out to the we haven't talked about it at all.
It's called Elevate Champions, by the way, the campaign to
there we go.
Help women's athletics.
Thank you, Aslan. Sorry. Thank you. The crowd on Saturday night was incredible. The whole atmosphere was incredible. The transition from the third to the fourth quarter was incredible. Eastbound and down, whatever. But the lights go off, the flashlights go out. I think they start playing AC/DC. That's what Stephanie says. They start playing right before, and it was awesome because Miami had a third down at their own 10-yard line, and instead of Master Motto lining up to punt, which is how it's been timed up sometimes on that fourth quarter switch. But they're let's get loud, and they're playing AC/DC, and the place is going nuts. It's night. It's Doak. The lights go off and then come back on real quick. They're doing the strobe stuff. It was just a really cool environment. And, I'm the first one to criticize stadium ops when they don't do something that I like. Well, I just thought that the transition to the fourth quarter, really the whole game, I thought they did a really good job. But most of that is because the crowd was awesome. And it probably won't be that way for North Alabama, I'm going to say. It's not going to be that fever pitch. But I thought it was really cool that this fan base and this team got a moment like they did on Saturday night with a crowd like that was just straight up. I mean, it was electric, man. We don't get to hear the crowd much in the press box. There were plays in that game where you could hear the crowd. Like it was almost like it was shaking. It was so loud. And that was cool to see. It was cool to see because who knows what it's going to be like the next time it's at full capacity, which will be in, I guess, 2025 when the whole stadium is done, with the renovations are done. Right. But, man, what a way to send the old girl out with a win over Miami where the crowd played a huge role and was really, really good.
Well said.
Thanks, buddy.
We were going to talk.
Is this show still going on?
I know, right? We were going to talk recruiting, but what a long show, and Michael Langston had a really long night, so we're going to have on the show tomorrow to sum everything up that happened. Really big recruiting weekend, lots of elite talent that was impressed. We'll get some details from Michael, but if you don't want to wait, you can be a member of warchant.com and head to the premium recruiting board and get your fill. I'm sure a lot of what he'll say is probably already up on that website. It's a perk of being a subscriber, so do check it out. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock. We'll be at the press conference, summing things up, posting videos, and the like. So,
also, shout out real quick, women's basketball team beat Tennessee. That's a great win.
Big dub, yes.
It's a huge win, great win. And then the men's basketball team started out with a really impressive win over, I think, a pretty decent Kennesaw State team. Looked really good. And then they play again tonight, I think, against Central Michigan. So it's basketball season 2, everyone.
Look at that. Everyone's...
And soccer. Soccer won easily in the first round, and they play again later on this week.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. It wasn't that long of a show either. They just beat Miami. Everybody's feeling good. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.